All right, we have got to break down this clip of Trump that went mega viral overnight because you can see the moment that he digs his own grave after being confronted on Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. Trump has been shamelessly lying for the past few weeks and saying that Kilmar had MS13 tattooed on his knuckles when that was fake. It was a photoshopped image and he has different tattoos on his knuckles. So Trump tries to shamelessly lie about someone who was sent to a torturous prison, and the ABC News interviewer fact checks him. But then it gets interesting because then the interviewer tries to give Trump a few outs. He tries to save Trump and segue away, and Trump continues to double down on the lie. I mean, this tweet says, truly surreal clip. Interviewer has Trump dead to rights, but is desperate to change the subject. Trump, meanwhile, refuses to let it go, insisting on continuing to punch himself repeatedly in the nuts. Again, the interviewer gives him multiple outs, and Trump continues to double down on his shameless lies. Never in my life have I seen a human being this shameless, and this is why the clip is going viral. Last night when I went to bed, it had a few 100,000 views, and I woke up, and on Twitter, it has over 10 million views now. This is the original image that Trump held up in the Oval Office. Let me reiterate, the MS13, these numbers and letters at the top, completely photoshopped, completely fake. You don't even need to be a Photoshop genius to understand that these numbers and letters aren't even embedded in his skin. The lighting would probably be a little bit different. It's just clear Photoshop. Very clearly Photoshopped, right? That being said, the tattoos underneath are not Photoshopped. Those are real. And the MAGA have been claiming that the marijuana symbol right here actually stands for an M, and the smiley face actually stands for an S, and the cross stands for 1, and the skull stands for, that's what MAGA is claiming with zero evidence. How do you turn a smiley face into an S? Now, Yashar Ali says, this is incredible. Everyone was saying that the MS13 was added to the photo as a translation. That's what MAGA was trying to claim. But now, Trump came out and is going against them and claiming that the MS13 is actually there. I hope I explained that well. Trump is going to claim in this clip that the MS13 is actually on his wrist when it's on his knuckle when it's a very, very clear Photoshop. All right. Enough yapping. Let's play this clip of Trump, then I'll break it down a little bit more because this is a case that I've been studying a lot. I've done multiple big debates on Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia that are coming out over the next week. So let's break this down. All that I ask is that you drop a like. I love all of you. Let's do this.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
The Supreme Court made the decision, bro. You don't have to make any decision. The Supreme Court made it for you. Sorry, I'll let it.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem. It was a unforced error that was made by a very
Why do you say it like that? Unforced error.
A unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be incompetent, that you always said was wonderful, a great genius, right? And now you find out, all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made. A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my #1 issue, but it was pretty close.
Right up there.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never happen. Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute.
Biden never said that, but all of that being said, Biden could have been stronger on immigration his first few years. That's an easy concession.
When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man.
We were getting murderers. We were.
But even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute
over that. Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
Notice how the reporter tries to move on.
13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry. but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
and you think it was Photoshop? Well,
Dude, he won't let it go. The reporter's like, let's just move on.
do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
and you think it
agree
was
to disagree.
Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He
Fair
had
enough.
MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
This guy is an idiot. I'm sorry. Trump is an idiot. So he's claiming he had MS-13 as clear as can be. You know what's funny? Tim Pool said last week, like he was basically making fun of liberals who thought that Trump believed it actually said MS-13. He said, holy fuck, liberals fall for this shit because their influencers are effing retarded, blah, blah, blah. And then someone said, hey, Tim, tell us more about those retarded libs, because it's a clip of Trump himself saying MS-13 is on the knuckle as clear as day, when it's not. It's not on the knuckle as clear as day. Someone else said, MAGAs were just saying the MS-13 was on that picture for demonstration purposes, but here's Trump clearly and adamantly saying that the picture was real. Do you all ever get tired of looking like morons for the sake of defending this man? It's genuinely pathetic. Can I remind you, Richard Hanania, the person who tweeted this, voted for Trump. He voted for Trump, and we've kind of watched him on Twitter move away from Trump. Micah Irfan says, honestly, if you think the MS-13 here is not just superimposed, I'm afraid there's no hope for you. If you don't see how the MS-13 is superimposed, you shouldn't have a driver's license. I don't want you on the roads if you can't see that this is clearly photoshopped. If you can't see the difference between tattoos embedded in someone's knuckle and a Photoshop above that's like all the numbers are clean. There would be a lighting difference. There would be a little bit of fading in the tattoos. Obviously, you can see that it's Photoshop. And bringing this back to Trump, he's trying to claim that the MS-13 is there, quote, clear as day.
Interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and
I wish I could interview Trump. I really want to interview Trump. I really, really, really wish I was sitting in this position right here. Of course, I would have to be respectful so I don't get kicked out. But by respectful, I mean I would push back, I would debate, and I would totally pounce a little bit harder than Terry did. He's a good reporter, this guy. But I just think that there's a certain tactful way you have to speak with a narcissist like this. And you can't let him roll over you. And I hope someday he's willing to sit down. Hopefully I'll be a little bit less sunburned when that happens. But going back to this post, again, if you think the MS-13 right here is real, there is no hope for you. And just broadly, the President of the United States is currently using the Oval Office. He was sitting in the Oval Office, lying about somebody that was wrongfully deported to a terrorist confinement center. After this person was deported, the Trump administration refused to bring him back. They've lied about him over and over. They've called him like 100 different crazy things, as like a criminal, a terrorist. They've called him human trafficker. None of this is true. They've illustrated zero evidence. In fact, the best evidence they have, I don't even want this picture on my screen. I shouldn't even have that picture on my screen. The best evidence they have is a fake photo. So Trump is doing this 1984 Orwellian-esque thing where he's in the Oval Office justifying the deportation of a father of multiple people by making up lies, literally making up lies. And I say this over and over, when you create a new class of people with zero due process, you can endlessly justify throwing anybody into that new class or into that new bucket. And that's what we're seeing here, especially if you throw someone into that new bucket and then the president is lying about them. How is Kilmar ever supposed to have any due process or a fair way of defending himself when the president of the United States is relentlessly lying about him with the end goal of keeping him confined in a terrorist prison? I'll leave it at that. Drop a like, subscribe to help boost this message. I love all of you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.